Hi, my name is Mike Delaney. As part of my end of semester project for E88, I'll be giving an overview of my big data app. The goal of my application is to take data from Zillow's API, which posts real estate data online, persist it in a Cassandra database, and then allow users to perform additional analysis via Tableau. The pipeline for this project includes Zillow as a data source, Flume for the collection, Kafka for messaging, Cassandra for storage, and Tableau for visualization. To share more information on how this is implemented, you'll have to install Cassandra and start the service, install Flume and configure it, install Kafka and start the Kafka server, and then create an application that will make API calls, have a Kafka consumer, and persist the data into Cassandra. Lastly, you'll have to configure Tableau for user visualization. So this is my application. It consists of a consumer, an event generator, and some sort of persistence. The event generator starts by having 20 property IDs. This could have been hundreds of thousands, but for the purpose of this demo, I chose 20 properties. The first part of event generator forms the URL to make the API call, makes the call, and then gets the response back. The second part takes the response, places it in an events.txt file, and then drops that file into a Flume source. Here's my Flume configuration. This shows that the source is using a spooling directory source with a memory channel, and it will ultimately hit a Kafka sync. Once it hits that Kafka sync, we have our consumer to pick it up. The consumer is a classic client. These are all my Kafka properties. What it mainly does here is it pulls for the data, and as it gets it, it takes the record and passes it to the persistent service. Once persistence gets it, it gets the record and parses, looking for key information. Here you can see I'm looking for the Zillow property ID, the address of the property, the address, and home details. Once I have that key information, I gather it all together to make an insert query so I can save the data into Cassandra. Here, I execute the query. So let's try running this. I'll start Cassandra. I'll start the consumer. Here's starting. Notice no data is there because no events are being generated. Then I'll start my event generator. Here you can see the events are being generated. If I go back to my consumer, you can see it's starting to do the inserts because it's pulling and getting the records. And after each insert, it's telling me that I successfully persisted. So I'll leave my consumer running and I'll close IntelliJ. I then can open up my CQL view and then query to see what was placed inside of my property table. As you can see, 20 properties were placed, including the city, the home details, price, state, and city. Here you can see that I left Flume running, so that way when it hit the source, it posted it to the Kafka sync. And here, this command prompt shows that my Cassandra server is started. So now that I have my data, and it's all landed in Cassandra's database, I want to use Tableau. Tableau, unfortunately, doesn't work with the platform of Unix, so what I did was I extracted this into a data set and then pointed Tableau at that data set. Now let's open Tableau. First, I can show that Tableau indeed is using my data set. Here, it shows all my columns, the IDs, the city, home details, price, and the remaining address attributes. This is all my data that I got from Cassandra. Once I go to sheet 1, there's a couple cool things we can see. The first thing we can see is this circular graph, which shows me the average prices per city in Massachusetts. Here you can see that I configured a filter for the state of Massachusetts, the average price in the city. The bigger the circle, the higher the average price. Here I can see Cambridge has an average price of $1 million. Needham came in at $1.3 million, and others, well, not as high. Tableau allows for additional visualization. So for instance, I could see something like a bar graph, which once again shows the average price per city. Or it even allows me to see a map view. So here's Massachusetts, and these dots represent each city, and as I hover over them, I could see the average price of homes within that city. So that's a quick overview of my application. Zillow allows a couple of key things for home buyers, including filtering for prices, sizes, etc. But one thing it does not allow is the functionality to check the average price per city. This potentially can be used for real estate investment if you wanted to see the average price of a home in a certain state, a certain city, a certain county, across the entire country. Thank you.